Gauragraganya ganagocha guloruharam Gauranga gudatama gopyara kopa briksham Gopala gadaratidam yati singha gora Govinda deshi kavaram satatam namami Uttama adama kichuna bachira jachiya dileka kola Kahe premananda emona gauranga hridaya dhariya bola Bhaja gauranga kaha gauranga laha gaurangera namare Bhaja gauranga kaha gauranga Gaurangera namare Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se hoy amara pranare Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se hoy amara pranare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Yashaiva Padambuja Bhakti Labhya Prema Bidana Parama Pumarta Tasmai Jagan Mangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavirapi Gopala Srikuryat Kripaya Juri Tadaiva Sampaya Pitva Rishayustat Priya Janaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunathapta Brajabala Bapahima Panchakopa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has given a very nice verse. Marasya Marusancharya Kinam Gam Gokulo Mukham Santa Pushna Vam Snigdha Karna Kasra Sanido. It describes our situation. He says that this kata that we have is just like a cow that wants to go to Vrindavan. But the cow was living in Moscow or New York, not a nice place for cows to be. And it's a long distance to go. And he says on this long journey for this poor cow of our kata, the cow is suffering on the desert of our tongue because there's no juice there. And the cow doesn't have anything to drink. So this is where all of you come in. He says that Santa Pushnav Imam Snigdha. My dear Snigdha, my dear affectionate devotees, who are Santa, not like Santa Claus, but Santa means saintly person. My dear saintly persons, he says that Karna Kasara Sanido, your ears are just like reservoirs of water. So with your ears, which are full of all kinds of nectar because you've heard so many wonderful things, and the nature of Vaishnavas is they want to hear more and more and more. So with your ears, you please give some liquid, some refreshment to this poor cow who's suffering on the desert of our tongue. So I wanted to say a little something tonight about a few topics, and I want to try to leave enough time, hopefully at the end, that there can be some questions or some discussion. As we like to speak, I like to talk something about also the nature of Vaishnava Sangha, and we like to try to, as best that we can, to create that. Vaishnava Sangha is very nicely described in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. A very important word is used in this verse, paraspara. Paraspara anukatanam pavanam bhagavad-yasa mito ratirmitastustir nivrita mita atmana. The verse says that there should be, in these kind of sanghas, there should be paraspara. The kata should be some exchange. It's not like a lecture in the university. Hearing is not a passive thing, but it's an active thing. It requires some participation, it requires some thought. Otherwise, nothing really happens, and it just becomes something like maybe in the university. And there's some good information given, maybe, or some good jokes told. But nothing really happens. There's no transformation of the heart. But paraspara anukatanam, when this kata, there's some exchange of it, paraspara anukatanam, pavanam bhagavad-yasaha. And we're focused on Krishna, the yasa, the glories of Bhagavan, Krishna. It's very, very purifying, pavanam, to the heart. Mito ratir mitastustir nivita mita atmanaha. And whatever material desires that the devotees have, they go away. Srila Sridhar Swami, in his Bhavarta Deepika commentary on this verse, he says that devotees should not be envious and just criticizing each other, because very frankly, that's what happens in the material world. If we're not doing Krishna Kata, then we're going to end up doing Gramya Kata. We're criticizing, finding fault with other people. We're going to end up with some politics. It's inescapable in Kali Yuga, even in the society of Vaishnavas. Devotees are those persons who come together and they hear and chant, and they should love one another. It's described in the Sattvata Tantra, Hari Lila Satochara, Pareshu Satatam Tvaikarya Pritistavahara Yata Bhaktina Nashyati. I often quote this verse, which describes that devotees should love one another by keeping Krishna Kata in the center. Hari Lila Sutochara, by hearing Sutochara, Hari Lila Sutochara, Pareshu Satatam Tvaikarya Pritis, with great affection. Having affection for persons who speak Krishna Kata, who do Krishna Kirtan with us, who render service with us, we should have great affection for those persons. It's a very, very important thing. This is society. Srila Prabhupada said in one lecture in 1968 in Los Angeles, he said that just as we love Krishna, we should also love devotees. A very important thing. But we love devotees for Krishna Kata. Otherwise, if we just love them because he likes to read the same books that I do, he's my god brother, he's also in ISKCON, he's okay, or he's a conservative devotee, he also doesn't like women who don't cover their head, we can be friends together, or something, whatever it may be, whatever mundane and temporary conceptions that we have, those things are all of this material world, and they're not helping the society. Society, we want to come to the platform of being a Madhyam culture. And a Madhyam culture is a culture where devotees come together and they hear and chant about Krishna. So, we've been speaking something in the last few days about Govardhan. And I was just thinking of another aspect about Govardhan that we haven't spoken on. I'd like to just mention before we go on to our next topic. And that is that Raghunath Das Goswami, in his famous Govardhan Basa, Prarthana Dasakam, in each refrain he famously prays, Nija Nikata Nibasam Dehi Govardhanat Tvam. pretty much all the translators have given this word Govardhanatvam as two different words. Govardhana, Tvam. Tvam means to reside or stay. But if we do something a little different with the Sandhi, and we consider the two words as one word, one definition, one translation would be that, oh Giriraj, please grant me residence, nivasam, always grant me residence, eternal residence near you. Another meaning would be, if you put the two words together, Tvam then means the quality. Twa. That you please let me have the same kind of qualities that you have. And Govardhan Leela is a very wonderful pastime because it's all about devotees. It's a dispute between devotees because Indra is a great devotee. The Bhagavatam says, Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. He's the best of all the devotees. He's kind of like the temple president or the GBC of the universe. He's in charge of everything. And he's a very, very important devotee. And Giriraj is also an important devotee. And as we've been mentioning the gopis, they say that Giriraj is Haridas Avarya, the best of devotees. So Giriraj is a better devotee even than Indra, even though Indra is a very big person. And what is the difference in their characteristics? This is described in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, Archayame Vaharaye, Pujamye Shadayayate, Natad Bhakteshu Chanyeshu Sabhakta Prakrita Smita. This is Indra. Indra is like the poster child, we were saying the other day at the Govardhan retreat, of this verse. And this verse describes what is a Prakrita, or materialistic bhakta. And Indra, he thinks, I should be given worship because I have this position. Archayame Vaharaye, Pujamye Shadayate, because you should give worship to me because I'm connected with Krishna. He's a great devotee of Krishna. But Natad Bhakteshu, Chanyeshu, he doesn't give respect to the devotees or to other persons. He demands respect for himself. Indra is someone who has a disease known as entitlement. He thinks, oh, because I'm a devotee, therefore everybody should give respect to me. I'm a very senior devotee. Just the opposite of Indra is Giriraj. Giriraj is not, he's a very big person, but he doesn't seem like such an important person. In the words of Jagatarani Mataji, she was saying at the Govardhan retreat, he seems like a pile of rocks. Not such a big deal. And what's he doing? He gives some grass, he has some caves, he has some boulders, he has some trees and things. He's not a big, big person himself. But what Giriraj is doing, he's serving all the different rasas. He's very quietly serving everyone. He's the best of devotees in that way. In modern language, we would call Giriraj a team player. And Indra is more like someone who wants to, if you're playing basketball or something, he's someone who wants to hog the ball and be the big star of the show. But Giriraj is a person who really sustains everything and doesn't take any credit, doesn't want any credit. So when we say, Nija Nikata Nivasam Dehi Govardhanatvam, one understanding of that can be that Giriraj, please let me have this quality that you have. Let me just serve all the devotees in a quiet way. Let me not want to have a big, big position, be a big, big person, but just let me serve for Krishna's pleasure, for the pleasure of the devotees. So, when we speak about worship of Govardhan, one subject which comes to our mind is Gunja. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave Raghunath Das Goswami Govardhan Shila, as well as a Gunja Mala. And this is described in the words of Raghunath Das Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shila diya Gosai samarpila Govardhane Gunjamala diya dila radhika charane. Bolo Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Shila Diya Goshai Samarpila Govardhane. By giving me this Shila, this Govardhan Shila, he says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Samarpila Govardhane. He's offered me a place near Govardhan Hill. And Gunja Mala Diya, by giving me this necklace of Gunja, this is a picture of Gunja here. By giving me this Gunja Mala, this garland of Gunja seeds, he's offered me shelter at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. What is the connection between Gunja and Radharani? What is the origin of Gunja? And why is Gunja so very dear to Krishna? I thought this is a very important questions to ask. And someone must know, that must be written in some literature. For 25 years, we were looking, speaking with different scholars, different Sanskrit scholars, Bengali scholars, and asking people to look through books. And we found some interesting things, but we didn't find the answer to these particular questions. Why is he so dear to Krishna? We found some interesting things about Gunja. You see this picture here. Gunja has many different names. It's popular actually all over the world. Some Gunja seeds, Gunja is a seed of a plant. Some Gunja seeds are red, as we see here. Some completely black. Some are completely white. And some are green. The versions in Braj, as you see growing here on the plant, are mostly red with a little bit of black tip. And they've been valued as a bead for jewelry amongst the people of the East for thousands of years. In China, Gunja is considered to be a symbol of love. And they refer to it in Chinese as a mutual love bean. At the same time, you'd be interested to know, this Gunja plant is considered to be one of the most toxic, most poisonous plants in the whole world. The seed contains a poison known as abrin, which is similar to ricin. Ricin is deadly poison. It's just a tiny, tiny drop of it could maybe kill everyone in the room. And Gunja is also used in Ayurvedic medicine for many different purposes, for purgative purposes, as a tonic. It's used in case of snake bite. It's also used as an aphrodisiac. The root is used to treat eye diseases. And a tea is made of the leaves for some fevers and coughs and colds. It's also used commonly to promote hair growth. Very important. And traditionally Gunja was used because these little Gunja beads, the weight is fairly consistent amongst all of them. So it was a standard measurement in ancient India used by goldsmiths to weigh gold and silver. Gunja. So we found out these things. But there's many, many other things about it. Gunja is mentioned in many, many different places in Krishna Lila. In Rupa Goswami's Radha Krishna Deepika, Ganadesh Deepika, Rupa Goswami says that Krishna, he has a Gunja necklace which is called Ragavali. Ragavali literally means a creeper, Avali, which evokes rag or feelings. In his Ujjvala Nilamani Kiran, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes Gunja as an udipana, or something that just by seeing it awakens a devotee's ecstatic love for Krishna. There's also a book called Hari Bhakti Ratna Prakash, which is written by Srila Raghava Pandit, who's an associate of Mahaprabhu. And therein he describes something of the importance, the position of worshipping Gunja Mala, worshipping Krishna with Gunja beads. He says, Swapakasho Vangsi Mayura Pucha Gunja Pitam Sukari Bir Bhushita Eva Yar Yar Vrindavana Chandra Aradhya Drishta. He says, if someone worships Krishna in his Vrindavan form, in which the Lord holds a flute, and he's dressed in a pitambara, yellow dhoti, decorated with a peacock feather, a gunja necklace, and other ornaments. If one worships Krishna in that way, he doesn't say to worship Krishna with a Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, the 4 symbols of Lord Vishnu, or a bow and arrow, the symbols of Lord Ramachandra, although someone might, and sometimes devotees even do. He says, but no, you worship Krishna with a peacock feather, with a flute, with a yellow dhoti, with a gunja necklace. And if you do that, if you worship him in that way, then the day will come when you'll be able to directly see Krishna. So dear are these different items to Krishna. If we worship him, we dress him in this way. So what then is the origin of gunja? Why is it so dear to Krishna? We found one commentary known as a Rasakulya to the Radharasa Sutta Nidhi, and one devotee, Harilal Vyas, he reveals Krishna's mind, and he gives 3 reasons why gunja is so dear to Krishna. First of all, he says, Krishna says, since gunja has appeared in the Vrindavan forest, which is the conjugal place, pastime place of my beloved Radharani, therefore gunja is so dear to me, because gunja has appeared in the Vrindavan forest. Secondly, Vedic literature says that one's mukh, one's mouth, should have the varna or name of Sham on it. Gunja beads, gunja berries, they fulfill that order because their mukh, or their mouth, the topmost portion, always has this Sham varna, this blackish complexion. And the third reason, he says, I'm Krishna. He says, I'm a most attached person, but these gunja seeds, they accept me as I am. And hence, they're worshipable for me. So, we found a few other things about it also. There was one Vaishnava poet from Gujarat whose name was Doiram, who lived in the late 1700s. And in one of his poems, he says that Dhanya Rati Teri Kriti Hiya Radha Mukha Sham Anuraga Lahi Rati Pati Pitu Rati Kori Kori Dam. He prays to Gunja, he glorifies Gunja. He says that your composition is very amazing. In your heart is Radha, who has a yellow color, and your mouth is Sham, blackish, while your whole body is filled with the color of Anurag, or red. And so seeing that this Gunja has this red-yellow color of Radharani in the inside of it, interesting that it's poisonous, and it has a mouth which is blackish, and the entire body of the bead is the color of Anurag, red color. Seeing this, Krishna has made Gunja his choicest of all different types of necklaces. But still, all these above points, I didn't feel satisfied with them. It's something, it's some little information. But is it just that by their color alone, Gunja is so dear to Krishna? Is that the only answer we could find? So I spoke to many, many different Goswamis and so many different persons. And finally one day we were having a discussion. We were at Kusum Sarovar, and we spoke to one old lady there. Don't underestimate the old ladies of Braj. Her name is Radha Dasi, and she's lived there at Kusum Sarovar her whole life. She's been a pujari, she's a Brijbasi. And she told us an interesting story, which is based, you can go down the next one. Here's a very interesting photo coming up. This is a Gunja necklace. Go next. Go down. This is how Gunja grows. A very wonderful picture. Gunja is very poisonous, a very angry berry. So you can go down. She told us a story, the next one, of the Mukta Charit, which is written by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, who is probably the most famous devotee or Govardhan Bhakta devotee in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. And this Mukta Charit, raise your hand, how many of you know the story of Mukta Charit? Can I see? Not so many. It's a very interesting story. And I would suspect probably most of you have heard it, maybe just not familiar with the name. But once during the month of Kartik, we'll just tell it a little shortly. Once during the month of Kartik, sometime after the Ras Leela pastime had taken place, on the day known as Deepavali, Krishna was informed by his parrot that Srimati Radharani was stringing pearls on Govardhan Hill. So Krishna went there. He heard Radharani stringing pearls, so he went there with his two favorite cows, and he asked Radharani for something very reasonable. Hey Radhe, can you please give some pearl necklaces so I can decorate my cows? And Radharani and the gopis became annoyed. Initially, Krishna just asked for some pearls, and the gopis were considering maybe they should do it. And Krishna said, my cows, they need some decoration. And the gopis told him, get out of here. Don't bother us. You're an annoying boy. Get out of this place. So then Krishna just said, okay, please just give me enough pearls, just a few, so I can decorate the horns of my cows. These cows are so very, very dear to me. And although the gopis felt great ecstasy, great happiness hearing Krishna's words, they act like they're angry. And this is known as man, or we would say in English, a good word is their sulkiness. They're not really angry, but they act like it. They act very good. And Lalita, she said in a very harsh kind of way, she said, Krishna, your cows are so high class that even the best of these pearls is not suitable for your cows. And so when Lalita spoke like that, then all the other gopis, they began laughing at Krishna. And Krishna felt a little ashamed. He left that place and he went to his mother. And Krishna said, Ma, please give me some pearls. And Mother Yashoda, she was a little struck. Krishna's never asking for pearls. She said, Gopal, why do you want pearls? And he said, Ma, I want to plant them in the ground and grow more. And Mother Yashoda, she smiled. And she said, Lal, a little boy, pearls don't grow from the ground. They don't grow on bushes. But Krishna wouldn't stop asking. And Mother Yashoda couldn't refuse him. So finally, Mother Yashoda gave her Gopal some pearls. And Krishna took those pearls and he went and he plowed the ground a little and he started pushing those pearls in the ground. And then he went to the gopis and he asked the gopis, he said that now I'm becoming a farmer. I'm planting some pearls. Would you please give me some milk so that I can, these pearls, I can water my pearls? And the gopis, again, they laughed at him, made fun of him, told him, go away. So then Krishna took milk from his own cows and began watering his garden. And within a few days, a very amazing thing happened. Little sprouts started coming up in all the places where Krishna had planted those pearls. And the gopis, when they saw that, they just laughed and they began making fun of Krishna more. They said, some weeds have come up. Raghunath Das Goswami in Mukta Charit uses a particular word when he describes the language of the gopis. He says that the gopis use the phrase Himsra Lata. Himsra Lata literally means, Lata means a creeper, and the word Himsra means cruel or savage. It means a kind of weed, but it also means a creeper that's very, very cruel, or a thorny or poisonous plant. So Krishna's plants grew very quickly, and within a short time, flowers began to blossom on those plants. And a very wonderful fragrance came, which pervaded all of Braj. And all the different bees came there, and the bees became completely intoxicated. And a few days after that, just very quickly, the bushes began to give fruits in the form of very beautiful, huge, very big pearls. The gopis became a little embarrassed when they saw that. And they decided that they should plant some pearls themselves. So they went to their parents and they begged for pearls. And they told their parents, just like Krishna was planting pearls, we're also going to plant pearls. Some of the gopis were saying, I don't think this is such a good idea. But the other gopis said, no, if Krishna can do it, we can do it. But Krishna's a little different. He can do so many things. They said, don't try to impress us with Krishna. We know about him. It's not that Krishna is so special, but the Braj Dhuli, the dust, the soil of Braj, that's so very, very special. It's very magical. And because of that, that's why these plants grew so nicely. So they begged for all the different pearls from their mothers, their aunts, their grandmothers. And they planted them, but they decided we're going to do better than Krishna. Krishna was watering them with milk. We're going to water them with very fragrant butter and ghee. And after a few days, the gopis became very proud. They saw sprouts were coming up from their plants. But Vishaka, she told the gopis, she said, these sprouts don't look the same as the sprouts that were coming up from Krishna's plants. So after some time, they grew into full-grown plants, and the gopis were very disturbed to see that they were just weeds. Raghunath Das Goswami, when he describes them, he uses the same phrase, himsra lata, that they became some thorny, poisonous plants. This is a very nice story. It's a very popular story. But I have to confess something before all of you. I never really appreciated this story so much. Because in this story, it's a little unusual for our Goswami literature. Because in this story, Krishna is victorious over the gopis. And generally, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they like to hear about the gopis being victorious over Krishna. Krishna grew beautiful pearls and the gopis grew some useless weeds. But our friend Radha Dasi at Kusum Sarovar, she said according to the local tradition, that plant that those gopis planted, those weren't ordinary thorny plants, but those plants were gunja plants. They were very, very poisonous and thorny plants. And externally they seem very humble in comparison to pearls. But they're more dear to Krishna than all the pearls in the world. So in actuality, according to this tradition, the gopis actually won the contest with Krishna because in terms of devotion, their plants are far superior to the Krishna's pearl plants. So although Krishna wears pearl necklaces, to this day his Ragavali Gunjamala necklace, which came from plants grown by the gopis, is far more dear to him. In the Bhakti-Ratnakar, Srila Narahari Chakravarti Thakur, he describes this pastime. You can go down one. He describes this pastime, and he also describes where it takes place. He says that Raghava Pandit, while he was taking Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas, and Shyamananda around Parikrama and Braj, he took them to a place which is a little near to Kusum Sarovar, Radhakund, and he told them as follows. Ei Malya Hari Kunda Ohe Srinivas Muktamala Chale Eta Adbhuta Bilas. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Shri Mukta Charita Grante Esha Bhavichare Vanila Shri Raghunatha Dasa Kripa Kori. Bolo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Which you can go down to the next slide. See? Here's some of the gopis begging pearls from Krishna. Go to the next one. This is Malayahari Kund. And Raghava Pandit, he told Srinivas and the devotees, this Malayahari Kund is where this pastime of the pearls took place. It's described by Raghunath Das Goswami. Shri Mukta Charita Grante e Sabha Vichari. Varnila Shri Raghunatha Dasa Kripa Kori. By his mercy, Raghunath Das Goswami has described this pastime in his book, Mukta Charit. So, Malayahari Kund is an interesting word. The word Kund means a lake or body of water. And the word Malayahari literally means a garland stealer. And that can be a name for Krishna. Krishna's Malayahari. He steals the garland, sometimes of the gopis. But another meaning of the word Malayahari is a garland that steals. It can be someone who steals garlands, or it can be the garland itself that steals. And Krishna's Gunja necklace is known as Ragavali. It steals the hearts and minds of persons who see it. Similarly, there's another meaning to the word Hingsha Lutta. Lutta refers to a thorny poisonous plant in this phrase, but Lutta is also a word for women in general. And just as a creeper, a Lutta, takes shelter of a tree or some stronger object, similarly the Braj Gopis, they're Luttas who are taking shelter of the chest of Krishna. Another meaning of the word hingsha is something which is very noxious or hurtful. And so in that sense, the word hingsha lata could also be said to refer to poisonous women. So the hingsha lata in the story of Mukta Charit is the poisonous gunja plant which is grown by the feigned harsh words of the gopis, the women of Braj, here at this place, Malayahari Kund. So I'd also like to go on to a couple of other subject matters tonight. One of which is found in our magazine, which just came out today. We wrote an article there called Conceptions of Worship. And we also have, Prabhuji, we have a slideshow for that. Can you go there? I think it's called Conceptions of Worship. So there's a little bit of a controversy among some Vaishnavas. Some devotees, they worship Govardhan Shilas. They worship some Shilas. Just keep going. Let's see, yeah, it starts right there. Is that right? No, it's not that folder. It's a different folder. It should be, I think, folder 3. Oh, looks like I didn't put it in here. Anyway, it's okay. There's only a few pictures there. Some people, they ask the question, is it okay to worship, somebody asked a question here the other day, is it okay to worship Govardhan Shilas as Balaram or as Radharani? And there's some Gaudiya Vaishnavas, I've seen some articles and some persons speaking very strongly against this. And they say it's just a speculative, bogus practice. And to be really frank, we haven't found any tradition of it. We don't know of any tradition that dates back to the time of the 6 Goswamis where Govardhan Shilas are worshipped as Radha. Perhaps there is, but we couldn't find any evidence of that. And nor could we find anything in the writings of the 6 Goswamis. Now, there is a couple verses which are often cited by devotees in this regard. These are from the Braj Riti Chintamani, which is a nice book written by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And he describes in the 3rd chapter, text 10 and 11, he speaks something about Govardhan. And he says, Jambunarari Grava Varan Vinriksha Krishna Gurjo Ram Vishabhanu Jadi Duram Prayati Spatikot Chayantat Krishna Grajo Tretya Pisa Piyatra. He says that if they're while walking on Govardhan Hill, Krishnagrajo means Lord Balaram, the elder brother of Krishna. If Balaram sees some golden stones, then he thinks, oh, the daughter of Maharaj Vrishabhanu must have just walked before me. And Balaram changes course to avoid some awkward situation, because Radharani and Balaram, they keep a little distance from each other. In the same way, Duram prayati spatikot chayantat. If Radharani sees some spatika or crystal stones, she thinks then that Balaram must have walked here before me, and she changes course. So sometimes devotees, they cite this in the next verse, which we'll also explain a little bit. They cite this verse to say that just see, this verse is speaking about some golden stones, which are like Radharani, and white stones, which are like Balaram. But if we consider the verse carefully, it doesn't state that Balaram identifies the golden Shilas as Radha. All that the verse says is that Balaram is thinking, Radharani must have been here, and therefore it's not appropriate for me to walk down the same path as her. The precise term used is Vrishabhanuja di, which is explained by commentators as Vrishabhanuja Vartata iti dhiryashya. It means that one who thinks that Vrishabhanu's daughter came in contact with this Shila, and thus leaving a golden color. Similarly, the verse doesn't state that Radharani identifies the white Shilas as Balaram. The verse only says that she thinks Krishnagrajo Treti. Krishna's elder brother Balaram was here, and he left behind some crystal white hue, some color. And so she avoids going down that path. The next verse describes Krishnastu jambunada madhyam eti muhu swakanta juti vidibudi kantapi tashyendra mani silantam kanti brahmachchir haridasavarye. He says Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur addresses Giriraj Govardhan as Haridasavarya, or the best of servants. And he says that Krishna sometimes he sees some effulgence coming from Radharani, and he sees some golden stones, and he thinks that's Radha. He mistakes like that. And Radha, sometimes she sees dark stones, and she mistakes him for Krishna and approaches them. So in this verse, Vishwanath says that Krishna is Bida Buddhi. He's mistaken in his mind. And he describes Radha as Kanta Brahmat. She had an illusion of the sapphire stones being Krishna. So Rupa Goswami, we were discussing last night, he speaks about the faults of Krishna. This is a very interesting thing, which I'll repeat a little something we said last night. In his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and then in other later Gaudiya literatures, such as Jaiva Dharma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there's a verse quoted from Shastra which speaks about how a conditioned soul has 18 different faults. But the nature of God is He doesn't have those faults. But you'd be interested to know that out of those 18 faults, Krishna has 16 of them. There's 2 that He doesn't have. Ruksha Rasata, He doesn't have very harsh dealings. And Kama Ulbana, He doesn't have very terrible lust. These 2 faults are not there in Krishna. But Krishna has the other 16 faults, which include bewilderment, which include lying, being greedy, so many different things. And ironically, it's those faults of Krishna which make Him superior to God. And each one of those faults, Rupa Goswami describes, are there. They're actually ways to glorify the devotees. They're ways that Krishna uses to please the devotees, and therefore they're greater. So Krishna sometimes has some Brahma or illusion, but there's nothing in either of these verses that actually indicates that some Shilas or Radha or Balaram. So as we described in the first day, there's so many descriptions from Shastra and our Acharyas that Giriraj Govardhan is a manifestation of Krishna. Now, what is the nature of Krishna? In the 3rd canto, chapter 9, text 11, there's a famous verse, Tatad Vapu Panayase Sadhanugrahaya, which describes that Krishna manifests a form according to the mood of the devotee. In the Chaitanya Bhagavad, it says, Bahu Murtyeka Murtikam. Bhagavatam says this, that 10th canto, that Krishna is one, but he becomes many, like in the Ras Leela. And Srila Prabhupada comments on that verse when it appears in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that in the Vedas it is said that one becomes many, that the one becomes many, Eko Bahusham. The personality of Godhead expands himself in various forms, Vishnu Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and Shakti Tattva. According to the Vedic literatures, there are different regulated principles for the worship of each of these forms. If one takes advantage of the Vedic literatures and purifies himself by following the rules and regulations, ultimately he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita 4:11, Mamavart manuvartate manusya parta sarvasa. Worship of the demigods is in a sense worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but such worship is said to be avidipurvakam, improper. Actually, demigod worship is meant for unintelligent men. One who is intelligent considers the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sarva dharmam parityagya mamikam saranam braja. One who worships demigods worships the Supreme Lord indirectly. But according to the revealed scriptures, there's no need to worship him indirectly. One can worship him directly. So there are many, many different statements in Vedic literature how Krishna manifests himself in different forms. And while I was contemplating this subject, I was reminded of a very popular dress of Lord Jagannath in Puri, which is known as the Hati Vesh. And on the day of Snan Purnima, when Lord Jagannath, that's actually his birthday, the day that he was installed in the Jagannath Mandir, he has a public bath upon the wall of the Jagannath temple, and they pour 100 pots of water over his head. And after that bathing ceremony, they put a special dress on Jagannath, which is known as Hati Vesh, or the elephant dress. And it's considered to be a dress of Ganesh. And there's a story behind it, that there was one Ganapatni Bhakta, one devotee of Ganesh who lived in South India, and he heard that Lord Jagannath is Param Brahma, the absolute truth. So this Ganesh Bhakta thought, if he's really the absolute truth, then he'll manifest in the form of my worshipful deity, Ganesh. And so he came to Puri, and Lord Jagannath manifested that form. I don't know, about 20 years ago, we made a magazine, the 4th issue of our Krishna Katamrita magazine, and we printed an article about the different dresses of Jagannath. And we spoke about this dress, and we had some pictures. At that time, at least to my knowledge, no one in ISKCON was dressing Jagannath in that Hati Vesh. And after that magazine came out, it became a little popular. Now many temples are doing that. So I have a friend, you know him, who he's close with us. He's close to Srila Prabhupada's movement, but he also has some connection with the Sri Sampradaya in South India. And he became very, very annoyed with me when we printed this. He said, how can you do this? How can Jagannath become Ganesh? This is complete nonsense. Because the Sri Vaishnavas, they can't digest that. Even if you go to the Madhva, if you go to Udupi, the main place of worship of the Madhvas, you'll see in their temple of Udupi Krishna, just across from it, there's a temple of Lord Shiva. They also respect Lord Shiva, and Gaudiya Vaishnavas respect Lord Shiva. But Sri Vaishnavas, they're very ekantic. They only worship Vishnu Tattva. And they consider it to be very, very offensive if you dress Lord Vishnu as one of the demigods. They consider that, in terms of Vaishnava Vedanta, to be Brahma Parinam Vad, or the idea that the Supreme Absolute Truth, the Supreme Lord, has some transformation and he changes. And they consider that to be Mayavad philosophy. So that's their conception. But thinking further about this matter, I realized that in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, we have another kind of conception which seems relevant in this discussion, and that is that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is in the mood of a devotee, Bhakti Rup, and we see different occasions when Mahaprabhu manifested different moods. For example, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila chapter 7, it says there that on one occasion, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested the mood of Lord Balaram. And he demanded that the devotees give him some honey, because Balaram, he likes honey very much. And it's described there that Deki Ramakar, at that time Advaita Acharya and Vanamali Acharya, they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of Balaram, with a golden plow in his hands. Another example is there in Chaitanya Bhagavat, in Madhya Lila chapter 8, which describes how on one occasion Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met a devotee of Lord Shiva. And hearing that devotee of Lord Shiva offering some Shiva stuti, some prayers to Lord Shiva, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became ecstatic. And he climbed on the shoulders of that devotee and Hunkara Korya Bole, Muni say Shankar. He began to shout very loudly, I am Shankar, Lord Shiva. He started telling everybody. Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says in the next verse that the devotees, they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with dreadlocks like Lord Shiva, with a horn and domaru drum. This same pastime is also told by Lochan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Mangal, where he says that seeing the mood of Mahaprabhu at that time, Srivas Thakur and Mukunda Dutt began to offer prayers to Lord Shiva. It's very interesting. It doesn't mean that Srivas Pandit and Mukunda Dutt thought that, oh, now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Shiva. It doesn't mean that when Lord Jagannath wears the Hati Vesh, that now the Pandits and Puri think, oh, he's not Jagannath now he's Ganesh. What it means is that they're thinking that on this particular occasion, the Lord wants to manifest this particular mood. So as I mentioned, we don't know of any tradition from the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates of worship of Govardhan Shilas as Balaram or Radha, but we did find some very interesting examples of worship at Govardhan Hill. If you go to near to Airavata's footprint, a little before you come to the Sarabi Kund, there's a temple on top of the hill there called Lukaluk Dauji, sometimes known as Doka Dauji. And there at that place, there's a local tradition that said that Lord Balaram, he was watching Krishna do the Ras Leela with the gopis at Chandra Sarovar, some distance away. And Balaram became completely ecstatic watching that. And so there's a deity on top of that hill. And in our magazine, we managed to get some photo of that. We sent some local person up there. And that deity of Lord Balaram, well, he's a Govardhan Shila. And he's a reddish Govardhan Shila. He's not even a white Govardhan Shila. He's just a Govardhan Shila. But they worship him as Lord Balaram. That's very interesting. But more interesting than that, perhaps, not very far from there, you know, as you're going toward Sarabi Kund, and just right there by Ravata's footprint, there's some steps going up to the hill. So if someone goes up those steps, and a little to the left, you'll see a place where many people are pouring milk. We don't recommend you walk on Govardhan Hill. But if some local person were to go up there, you'll see there's some place where there's much milk poured there. And there's a little Shiv Linga there. But that Shiv Linga is a Govardhan Shila. But they worship him. It's a little stone in the shape of a Shiv Linga. And they worship him as Gopishwar Mahadev. How many of you, raise your hand, if any of you here, I hope some of you, many of you, have had darshan of Kundeshwar Mahadev at Radhakund? Raise your hand. So, according to the local tradition there, that Shiv Linga is actually a Govardhan Shila. And then when they were excavating Radhakund, they found that Govardhan Shila, but he's in the form of a Shiv Linga, so they worshipped him as Lord Shiva. That's very interesting. Not far from that Gopishwar Mahadev Shiv Linga, that which is actually a Govardhan Shila, there's another stone which has all kinds of orange color on it. And that stone looks just like Hanuman. And they worship that stone as Hanuman. If you go from Kusum Sarovar to Manasi Ganga, as you're going along the road splits. And if you go on the outside path, you'll come to the bus stand. If you go on the inside path, you'll come to Manasi Ganga. A little after that split in the road, on the right side, there's some very large Shilas there, one of which looks a lot like Ganesh. And for a long time, they've been worshipping him as Ganesh. And there's another one that looks like Hanuman, and they worship him as Hanuman. It doesn't mean that they're thinking, oh, this is Shiva or Ganesh or Hanuman or Balaram, but they're thinking this is Govardhan. And Govardhan has manifested this particular mood at this particular time. So these examples, they don't imply that Giriraj is going to manifest any form that the worshipper desires. That is between Giriraj and his devotees. Moreover, Rupa Goswami in Laghu Bhagavatamrita, when he speaks about different forms of the Lord, he doesn't mention that Krishna can manifest a form as Radha or as Ganesh or anything like that. But still, we find this particular tradition amongst Gaudiya Vaishnavas. The devotees in the Sri Sampradaya, they don't appreciate this concept. But amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we see that sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he adopted the mood of Balaram. He adopted the mood of Radha. He adopted the mood of Lord Shiva. And the devotees, sometimes they worshipped him accordingly to enhance his mood. So this is one kind of conception. And ultimately, if we speak about worship, we should understand, sometimes devotees, oftentimes we give talks on Govardhan, devotees come and they say, well, should I worship my Govardhan Shila as a devotee, or should I worship him as Krishna? And I beg apology, but I don't appreciate that question. That kind of question indicates to me a very gross misunderstanding of deity worship. Our understanding of deity worship is that we don't do this on our behalf. We sing every day, Sri Vigrahara, Dana Nityanana, Shingaratan Mandira Marjana, Yuktasya Bhaktams Chaniyun Jatopi Vande Guru Sri Charanada Vindam. That Gurudev, he has the qualification to worship the deity. I don't have qualification. I'm just doing it as his proxy, as his representative. He can't be here, and so I'm doing it on his behalf. And I do it however he tells me to do it, according to his particular mood. I don't speculate on my own. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he said in one of his Nectar devotional lectures here in Vrindavan in October 1972, he said, we should not manufacture our own way. It must be confirmed by the spiritual master. That's our understanding. It doesn't have to be such a controversial thing. It depends on the instruction we've gotten from Guru. That's our system. So I've been promising everybody for the last few days something to show you something about the caves on Govardhan Hill. I have to admit this is one of my favorite subject matters. Ever since I was a young boy, growing up in southern Illinois and then later in Colorado, one of my favorite things to do in the world was to explore caves. And we went in so many deep caves. I've always liked caves very much. So there are many different caves on Govardhan Hill. Kandare Kandare Te. We've been singing this song. So many different caves. And those caves are very important. Srila Jiva Goswami, he says that Kandara Mandiranaiva Shri Govardhanadi Toya Sampadyante. That Krishna, he gets great pleasure from the caves on Govardhan Hill. And he says those caves are just like temples. Moreover, one of the names for Radha, Jiva Goswami describes, in Gopal Champu, is Kandarabasa, meaning that personality who lives in a cave, because she stays so much in the caves at Govardhan. And there are different types of caves. There's a Hindi word gufa. In Bengali we say gofa. In Oriya we say gumfa. It means a cave or cavern or a secret hiding place. And there are three different ways that this Hindi word's used today in India. This is the last of the pictures, isn't it? That's the first of them. Oh, okay. So one is for natural caves. A second meaning, a second usage of this word gufa is a secret underground place. Let's go down a little bit. Let's see here. Okay. So this is the Dana. It's right near Dangati. What's the name of the temple? You remember? Oh, this is established by Brajanav. This was a Dana Roy temple, if I recall correctly. And this temple is very, very ancient. Go to the next picture. We sent one local Brijbasi up to keep going. And they say, keep going, that inside of this temple, there's a cavern. There's a tunnel which goes some distance. I don't know, now the temple has been long abandoned. You can go to the next picture also. And the next one. So this is the Gopal Mandir. And the Gopal Mandir, this is also long abandoned. This is a temple which is established by Madhavendra Puri. We showed some pictures yesterday of this temple. This temple is said that there's supposed to be a tunnel that goes from this temple all the way to Rajasthan, to the temple of Srinathji, Nathdwar. And they say that the famous devotee, what's her name? Mirabai, that she traveled to Nathdwar through that tunnel. I don't know. We're just telling you some of the different stories about it. Go to the next picture. This is also the Gopal Mandir. The next picture. And the next. So another form of gufa is a hidden underground chamber. Now this is the temple of Uddhava near Kusum Sarovar. Go to the next picture. And the next picture, these are a picture of the deities. There, Uddhava's on top, and there's Radhakrishna below. Go to the next picture. Now, underneath these deities, there's a gufa. And this gufa is a place where sadhus would go to be alone, to chant so people wouldn't bother them. Or they go there during the summertime when it's very, very hot. I know I've been in several gufas like this. In Barsana, there's one temple on top of the hill where the pujari took me behind the altar, and he moved a stone on the floor, and there was a secret hole going down, and we went down in that hole, and there was a place where they used to keep the deities when the Muslims would come and attack, to protect them. So that was another kind of gufa. So there's many different caves in Govardhan Hill. One such cave, very famous story, somewhat famous, appears in a book called the Abhiram Lilamrita, which is written by a devotee named Tilak Ramdas, who's a devotee of Abhiram Thakur, disciple of Abhiram. It's a medieval Bengali book. And it's said there that on one occasion in Navadvip, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing kirtan with all of his associates, suddenly he stopped, and in a very piteous voice, he began calling out, "Sridham, Sridham, Sridham, where are you?" Sridham is the elder brother of Srimati Radharani. And Mahaprabhu at that time, he called for Nityananda. He said, Nitai, go bring Sridham here. He's somewhere there in Braj, and I'm feeling very unhappy in his separation. So Lord Nityananda immediately set out for Braj, and he came to Govardhan Hill. And he started searching the hills of Govardhan and calling out, Sridham! Sridham, where are you? And suddenly, this huge fellow, it's about 15 feet tall, came out of one of the caves in Govardhan Hill. And he said, yeah, I'm Sridham. Who are you? And Lord Nityananda said, it's me, Balai, Balaram. Sridham looked at him and said, how did you get so short? Because you see, in Dwapar Yuga, they were very, very big. And now Nityananda Prabhu, maybe he's 7 feet tall. He's half the size of Sridham. So Nityananda Prabhu said, hey, now it's Kali Yuga, Kanu. And all of us, we've taken birth in Mayapur to perform Gora Leela. And Krishna's asking for you, come with me. But Sridham, he looked at him and he said, how do I know you're really Balaram? He said, just to find out, I'll tell you what, let's have a race around Govardhan Hill. Because amongst all the Gopas, there's only one person who could keep up with me, and that was Balaram. And so they started running, and they ran 4 times around Govardhan Hill, just a few minutes, very fast. And Sridham was running, and after going around 4 times, he turned and looked over his shoulder, and there was Lord Nityananda with a big smile, running right next to him. And then Sridham said, okay, I recognize you're actually Balaram. He said, but look, I'm not going to take birth in someone's womb. Forget it, that's a lousy proposition. I'll go take part in pastimes with Mahaprabhu, but I'm not going to take birth in someone's womb. I want to go as I am now. It's said that during Dwapar Yuga, Krishna and the boys, they were playing at Govardhan Hill one day, and they were playing hide and seek. And Sridham went and hid in a cave. And while he was inside that cave, then suddenly Krishna decided, Kali Yuga's come. And now it's time to do our pastimes in Navadvip. And so he took all of his associates to Navadvip, but he left Sridham. So Sridham told Lord Nityananda, he said, okay, I'll go, but I don't want any of this changing the womb business. So he went there 15 feet high. And when he came, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, you can't do pastimes with this like this. And he grabbed one of his shoulders, and Lord Nityananda grabbed the other shoulder, and they pulled him down to size. And he became known as Abhiram Thakur. And there's so many amazing stories about Abhiram Thakur. That's another story. We've heard many different stories about different caves on Govardhan Hill. We have one friend here in this temple, some of you may know, Devananda Pandit Prabhu. And he told me that for over 10 years he's been taking devotees on parikrama around Govardhan. And sometimes he meets different older Brijbasis, and they tell him different stories. And once he met one Brijbasi who was about 70 years old, and he told him that he'd been doing Govardhan parikrama every day for many, many years. And he said that once he had a dream, and Giriraj told him that he should do parikrama every day as long as his physical body would allow him. And that old Brijbasi told him that during summer, he does parikrama at night, and he said that once while going around the hill, he saw the Saptarishis coming down from a cave at the top of Govardhan near Lukaluk Dauji, or Doka Dauji. And then shortly after seeing him, they all disappeared from him. And he's heard from there's many different traditions that the Saptarishis, they're living in caves on Giriraj Govardhan. We can go down a little bit more. Let's see what pictures we have. So this is inside, underneath the Uddhava temple. Keep going. Now this is Raghava Goswami's cave. This is one of the most famous caves at Govardhan. Probably a lot of you have been there. It's just next to Puchari and the Naval and Apsara Kunds. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's intimate associate Raghava Goswami lived here in this place. You can go to the next picture. And go to the next one. This is inside, back one. This is inside of the cave, and the next one, this is the kitchen area inside of the cave. It's a very, very simple place if you've been inside of there. And that place is mentioned also in Bhakti Ratnakar. And Raghava Goswami, he told Srinivasacharya Narottam Das, "Ei Mora Gofa, this is my cave. Ami Rahia Ekaya Deki Govardhana Shobha Mahashoka Pai. Mahasuka Pai." He said, "This is a cave where I stay, and I get so much happiness here at this place, seeing the beauty of Govardhan Hill. Ei Govardhana Guha Ati Manohar." This cave here in Govardhan is Ati Manohar, very, very enchanting. Eha Radha Krishna Vilasai Nirantar. And Radha and Krishna always perform loving pastimes here. So that cave is known as Mani Kundala. And you can get to it. It's not. It's near the Nathji temple near Pucheri. We can go to the next picture. Now this is Pucheri. You can see both sides of Govardhan Hill. Now if we were to take the right side path here, this picture, looks like this picture's flipped over actually, isn't it? It's flipped. This is in reverse. So what's right would be left, and so actually you would go on the right side path, but it would look like what's on the left. Go to the next picture. Go to the next one. Just near there's some caves, and one local pujari took some local people up there, and we got some photos of things. Go to the next shot. And they say there's called Sapta Kandara, and these are some photos of some of those caves. There's 7 different caves. Just keep going. There's so many pictures we have of these. You can see just kind of in the center, there's a square-shaped cave there. Go down to the next one. And where is it at in this picture? Also, just about in the middle of the picture, if you go straight down, you'll see a little black hole. That's a cave there. Go on. Some of these were taken with a drone. And you can also see just about in the center of the picture that there's another cave there. Please go. Some of these caves, they say, although the entrance is very, very small, that inside is big enough space to fit 50 people. Keep going down. Now there's one particular cave, keep going down, which will be, this one right here, go back one. This cave you see here on the left, you see some bricks and some cement. Go to the next picture. This is a cave near there, go down to the next one. So keep going down. Keep going. Yes, right here, stop. Okay, so there's this cave on Govardhan Hill. We spoke to some of the local people. They said that just recently there was one sadhu who came from Mumbai, and he wanted to live on Govardhan Hill. And the local people told him, "Hey Baba, you don't live on Govardhan Hill. We live near Govardhan Hill. Nija Nikata Nibasam Dehi Govardhan." And so we stay near Giriraj. We don't stay on Giriraj. He said, No. I want to stay on Govardhan Hill, and I want to stay in the cave. Now, we sent some local people, there's some local photographers to get pictures with the Pandits. With the Pandit, one thing they said, you're not allowed to go in the cave. Why? Because there's poisonous snakes in the cave. But those are not actually poisonous snakes. He said, actually, they're great rishis who are doing their bhajan there, and they don't like to be disturbed. So we don't like to disturb snakes. Go to the next picture. So this Baba, he came and he made some thing out of bricks, and he was staying there. Even though they told him that you shouldn't do this. Keep going. There's a few pictures of it. Go to the next one. These are some of the Govardhan shilas that he was worshipping there by his little cave. Go back up. And you can, the next one up. Up. You can see in this brick shelter, brick structure, in kind of the right side of it, there's a black hole. And that's a cave where he was staying. So they told him, Baba, there's poisonous snakes living in there. and you shouldn't stay there. And also these caves, these are the pastime places of Radha and Krishna. It's not meant for devotees to stay. We're meant to do service. We stay nearby. But he wouldn't listen to anyone. And so he was staying in that cave. And after some time, they found his dead body one day. He'd been bitten in the head 4 times by this poisonous snake. So we stay near Giriraj. We don't stay on Giriraj. And these are some of the caves in Govardhan Hill. And some of the different topics about Govardhan. Govardhan Hill has many different caves. And the word guha means cave. It also means something very hidden. It also means the heart. And Govardhan Hill comes from the heart of Krishna, as we were speaking on the first day. And these prayers of Raghunath Das Goswami are also revealing his heart. They're revealing a very secret place on Govardhan Hill. And just as a cave has 2 aspects, it has an outside part, as we're seeing in some of the pictures here, and it has a secret inside part. So also the prayers of Raghunath Das Goswami and our acharyas, there's some external thing that we can see. But if we look very deeply and consider things in a deep way, we can see their heart manifest in a very secret way on the inside, like a cave. So I'd like to stop here. Are there any reflections from anybody? Devotees are asking about the magazine. We have some copies and we'll make them available just after the program finishes. And this, by the way, it's 198 pages, 128 pages, excuse me. It's twice as big as our normal magazines. And there's so many wonderful photos and descriptions in it. I hope the devotees will get some pleasure. Any reflections or comments from anybody? Or any questions or anything? Mataji, can you give her a mic? There's a couple. How is it that the Pandas would go on the hill?
How they allowed him to go and just didn't really remove him and told that, he's not allowed to put the brick house and so on.
Gaudiya Vaishnavas have that conception, but other Vaishnavas, for example, the Vallabha Sampradaya, they don't have that conception. If you go near to if you go to Jatipura, just below the Gopal Mandir, there's some steps going up. You'll see so many Vallabha Vaishnavas going up to have darshan there, and they're walking on the hill. And just at the base of the hill there's something they call the Dandavat Shila. And in their tradition, they say if you make some offense against Giriraj and afterwards you come and you do parikrama, you circumambulate that Shila and you'll be forgiven for your offenses. Gaudiya Vaishnavas have this very intimate understanding about Giriraj, that we don't walk on Giriraj because we're following. I think we could say from the things we established yesterday that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wouldn't walk on Giriraj because he's in the mood of Radha, in the mood of separation. And in that mood of separation, Srimati Radharani sees Govardhan as Krishna. And in our very humble position, we're not like Radharani. We also worship Giriraj as Krishna. We don't want to walk on him. But as we spoke yesterday, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said that some devotees who have this Acharya Das Abhiman, this attitude of being a servant of the Acharyas, like Madhavendra Puri, they may walk on the hill. And Madhavendra Puri, he did walk on the hill to do service for others. And for that reason, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wouldn't walk on the hill here in Braj. But when he went to Jagannath Puri, and he saw Chatak Parvat as Govardhan Hill, and you may argue that it's not Govardhan Hill. Really, that doesn't mean very much, that argument, because the point is he saw it as Govardhan Hill. Whether it is Govardhan or not Govardhan, that's another subject, but he saw it as Govardhan, and he walked on it. And why was that? He was walking on the hill to do service. He was seeing himself as an assistant to the gopis, and he was serving them by picking flowers to help make garlands for Radha and Krishna. Is that okay? That's something. Those local pandas, they're Brijbasis, and they have a different mood. You see sometimes the boys, they play cricket on top of Govardhan Hill. Because there's some places you can see, if you have a drone, we had some drone photos, some parts of the top of Govardhan Hill are very flat. And Brijbasis, they have a hard time finding a good place for playing cricket. So that's one of their favorite places, some of the boys. And also sometimes you see Brijbasis there herding goats or different animals just walking on Govardhan Hill. They have another different kind of mood than we do. Well, we follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, we don't walk on Govardhan Hill. Tulsi Thakurani, do you want to say something?
Hare Krishna. I wanted to ask that usually poisonous things, plants, they are considered to be tamasic by Ayurveda. So it's a little bit, it's don't bring distraction into my mind, but I understand that this can bring some disturbance into the mind of the people that a poisonous thing, such a dear thing as a gunjamala, such a dear thing to the Krishna. How should we
see that? In a similar way, there's also 3 types of discussions according to Vedic literature. Vada, Jalpa, and Vitanda. Vada is in the mode of goodness. Vada discussion, Madhvacharya defines as a discussion between guru and disciple, a very humble discussion. In a Vada discussion, both participants just want to know the truth. And they don't mind if they're defeated or proven wrong. A Jalpa discussion is in the mode of passion. One or both participants just want to be heard. They want the other person to listen to them. A Vitanda discussion is in the mode of ignorance, and is characterized by one or both participants just want to win. And they'll do any damn thing. They'll say anything so they can win. And they may speak in a very, very harsh way. So we don't like Vitanda discussion. But Krishna in the Gita, in the 15th chapter, he says that the nature of this material world is just like an upside down banyan tree. And the things which are the most disgusting here in the material world are actually the nicest things in the spiritual world. So although in the material world we consider harsh talk to be very low class, and a high class person won't do that. But in the spiritual world, Krishna gets so much pleasure from the harsh words of the gopis. He tells Madhu Mangal that these harsh words, the chastisement of the old ladies of Braj, gives me more pleasure than the prayers of the personified Vedas. He likes that better. So the gopis, they're speaking in a very harsh way, and it seems like from one perspective, from a perspective of mundane morality, from a perspective of Varnashram Dharma and Vedic consideration, it seems very low class. But actually it's very high class. So in a similar way, Gunja seems like a very poisonous thing, just like the words of the gopis seem poisonous. If someone is criticizing everyone else, we'd say that that person has a poisonous mouth. The words of the gopis, in that sense, seem like they're poisonous. And Gunja seems like it's poisonous. But that poison is actually permeated with great love for Krishna. That would be my understanding of that. One more thing? Didn't Prabhuji?
Mahaprabhu, when we discussed yesterday, when he, in Jagannath Puri, when he rounded the Govardhan Hill, he actually sees Radha and Krishna separate from him. And he was in Lila in the mood of Manjari. Can you a little bit describe? Because for me it's easy to understand when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu take group of the singer or any other mood of himself. But when he's in mood of Radharani and he sees himself as a Manjari, a little bit too much.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Radha Bhava Jyoti Suvalitam Nami Krishna Swarupam. He's predominantly in the mood of Radha, but sometimes he tastes other moods also, the moods of other different devotees. But when he tastes those other moods, it doesn't change his constitutional position. It doesn't change the fact that he's Krishna, but he's Krishna come in the mood of a devotee. And we should enhance that, we should serve that. So he wants to taste so many different moods. And one thing he gets great pleasure in is tasting the mood of the assistants of Srimati Radharani, the gopis and the manjaris. And so he was tasting that in Jagannath Puri, and for that reason, to do service, he was walking on Chatak Parvat, which he saw as Govardhan Hill, to render service to the gopis. Okay? Prabhuji, you had something? Satchidananda Prabhu.
Prabhu, thank you for this wonderful seminar. I learned a lot of it, more than what I could know about Govardhan. So first of all, I would like to thank you. One quick question or reflection, if you would call it, in reference to Pujamala, because you mentioned it is the color of Anurag.
I mentioned is what?
The color of Anurag. So can we also say that the Anurag, it's the heavy mood of separation is like poison? And because it has worse than poison or like poison, the feelings of the separation and Vrindavan Bhav or the Viyogati Bhav of Radha, Krishna cherished that the most because that is love at its most zenith.
Krishna wants to taste the mood of Radharani, and naturally he wants to taste the most extreme mood of Radharani. And that most extreme mood, that most intense mood, is Radha when she's feeling separation from Krishna. In the book Prema Vilas by Nityananda Das, who is a disciple of Janava Mata, he describes a conversation between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lokanath Goswami. And Mahaprabhu tells Lokanath Goswami the secret why he's coming. He says that Naparyaham nirvajisam yujam swasadu krityam vibudaya sapiva. I'm in debt. I'm a rini. I'm in debt to the gopis. Because everybody else, I promise, yegatam mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham, I'll reciprocate however they approach me. But the gopis, and in particular Radha, they don't want anything. They only want one thing. They want to please me. How do you reciprocate with someone? The only thing they want is to please you. So he said, I must repay this debt of Radha. And in particular, Radharani's feelings of separation. And then he said something which is very similar to your point. He said that when Srimati Radharani is feeling separation from me, generally Radha, she wears a sari which is bluish black, the color of Sham Sundar. But when Radharani is feeling separation, she wears this Aruna Vastra, or the saffron, Anurag color. And some Vaishnavas have said that Srimati Radharani, she has kumkum on her breasts. And when she begins crying in separation from Krishna, the tears wash that kumkum down on her color, on her cloth, and it becomes the color of that kumkum, and this is the saffron cloth of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And this is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wears that Anurag color, that Aruna Vastra color, the color of the rising sun, that reddish color, that saffron kind of color. It's a color of separation. So, some thought kind of like.
One last question from my side is, as far as us Gaudiya Vaishnavas are concerned, is it okay if you really want to worship Govardhan, can you go actually pick him up and start worshiping him? Because I know it is forbidden, and it is also said in the Shastra, if you do, then you have to put that much gold in weight, and just those kind of...
Garga Samhita says we should put an equal amount of gold. And I think that's a very popular conception. Many of the local people who live around Govardhan, they like to promote that idea. But there's no amount of gold which is going to be equal to Giriraj. I think the general mood is that we should value Giriraj very much. In any case, Srila Prabhupada, we have some article also in here about the history of worship of Govardhan Shilas and ISKCON. I was mentioning a little part of that to you the other day. There's one story in here called Prabhupada's Mysterious Briefcase. And a devotee who got a new briefcase for Prabhupada, and Prabhupada gave him his old briefcase, which had 3 Govardhan Shilas in it. And different devotees who got Govardhan Shilas and different devotees who wrote to Srila Prabhupada and asked him about where, and generally Prabhupada said, no, you put the Govardhan Shila back, don't do that. The general principle that I feel comfortable, the only thing I feel comfortable saying in this regard is that we should do everything under the guidance of higher authorities. So no, I would not feel comfortable at all to go to Govardhan just on my own strength and pick up a Govardhan Shila and just put it in my pocket. Someone might feel comfortable in that way. Someone might have some direction, some divine voice from the sky. Krishna may tell them to do that. But Srila Prabhupada in general told devotees not to do that. And our general principle is that we follow higher authorities. And what is the value to me? I don't know what is the value just of having a Govardhan Shila. But if Giriraj comes to us, if he comes to us through the hand of some higher authority who's giving us Giriraj with great love, that's really getting Giriraj. But just to go like a thief, I know there's one devotee, friend of mine, who's a Prabhupada disciple, I won't say his name, but they practically have wanted posters with his picture on it by Govinda Kund. A few years ago he was there and he was putting some Govardhan Shilas in his pockets, and there was a big riot. They wanted to beat him. They were very, very upset. They were running after him and threatening to beat him, and he ran and caught up with the Parikrama group, and then they came and they were threatening the whole group. And finally he had to go back and put the Shilas back, and he had to leave the Parikrama because they were so very, very angry about it. There's one story we've heard from some of the local Vaishnavas around Govardhan that once there was one sadhu who was taking a group of yatris, pilgrims, on Parikrama around Govardhan Hill, and he told them, don't take any Govardhan Shilas, but some of them didn't listen. They thought, oh, we're here now, so I'm going to take this opportunity. And they put some Govardhan Shilas in their pockets, and they had a very big tent that they were sleeping under at night. And shortly after that night, the tent caught on fire. And everybody barely managed to escape with their lives. And the sadhu, then he called for everyone. He said, somebody's taken some Govardhan Shila, haven't you? You put it back. So it's not that we steal that Shila. And some Vaishnavas, some Gaudiya Vaishnavas, some followers of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, they say that you shouldn't take Giriraj away from Braj. Of course, what is really Braj? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, as we noted yesterday, I think, he said that when he first sent Ban Maharaj and some of the devotees to the West to preach, he gave them a Dwarka Shila, he gave them a Shalagram Shila, and he gave them a Govardhan Shila. So they're going to the West. You may say that's not Vrindavan, but it is Vrindavan, that place where we're rendering service to Guru and Krishna. So that would be my consideration. That would be how I would answer that question. Maybe some other senior devotees has some other thoughts on that. I don't know. Karta, do you want to say anything? Kavi Chandra Maharaj, anything? We can mention one story that I heard from Yashodanandan Swami at the time, that he was staying here in Vrindavan. He was in charge of the Gurukula. I was telling you this story the other day. And he noted that there was some Gurukuli boy who had a Govardhan Shila, but he wasn't worshipping the Shila very nicely. And so he took the Shila away from the boy, and he went to Srila Prabhupada, who was staying here. And he said, Srila Prabhupada, this boy was worshipping a Shila, I took it away from him. He told me this story personally. And he said, so what should I do with the Shila? Should I take it back to Govardhan? And Prabhupada said, you should worship it. And he was surprised. He said, well, how should I worship it? And Prabhupada said, you offer some incense and some sandalwood paste, maybe a few fruits and flowers. He said, should I do anything else? And Prabhupada said, you can wipe him off with a towel. Very, very simple. And I always appreciate, Lakshmi Moni Mataji was telling me something similar. The Prabhupada always stressed with deity worship, it shouldn't take more than 20 minutes. It should be very simple. Because Srila Prabhupada always wanted the devotees to focus on chanting, on the holy name. That's our movement. And our deity worship is done to help us with our chanting. And we see that deity who's coming to us is a fruit of our chanting, as we were mentioning the other day. And then what is the fruit of our deity worship? We want more chanting. So the chanting is there in the beginning, the middle, and the end of our deity worship also. Anything else is there from anyone? Mataji? Can we give her the microphone? So it's 6:30 just now. If anybody needs to go, please go. Don't let me hold you up.
If we worship Gautama Shiva in the mood of devotee or in the mood of Krishna, is it any difference in offering things to, those two moods, or it's the same? Like
Maybe.
Yeah?
Maybe. It depends on what your higher authority tells you and how you should worship that Srila, how you should do that. They may give some particular instructions. I mentioned the other day in a personal way, I got some personal instruction. And one of my godbrothers who was also instructed by our Guru Maharaj to worship Giriraj, he got a different instruction. And that devotee wanted to do the same way I was doing, and Guru Maharaj told him, no, that was from Madhavananda. You don't do that. So that's the concept that we have of deity worship. We're not independent. It's not just that I come here and on my own strength I'm going to do so many things, I'm going to make advancement. Krishna says, Ye me bhakta jana parta na me bhakta sate jana. Someone who says he's my devotee is not my devotee. But mad bhaktanam chaye bhaktas te me bhakta tamomata. That person is a devotee of my devotee, he's my real devotee. So we always want to do that worship under the guidance and blessings of a higher authority. And that is not such a simple thing. It may be some inspiration which comes from the heart, or some Akashvani perhaps, or some very elevated Vaishnav, or it may come through so many different ways, and we feel in our heart, but it should be authorized. That's my humble thought. Prabhuji had something? Can I just kind of try to paraphrase your question so they can hear? He's asking, he says that as new devotees we may not get some instruction from our guru, from our higher authorities who do deity worship, but we may serve the Vaishnavas. Can that be like our deity worship also? Here in Vrindavan, in his Nectar Devotion lecture, Srila Prabhupada spoke like that. He said that when we worship Krishna, it doesn't mean Krishna alone. It means Krishna and his devotees. Krishna is never separate from his devotees. Just as we said when we speak about the king means also the prime minister, all the different advisors. It means the queens. It means the guards. It means the servants and the cooks and so many different persons. They also come with the king. And Prabhupada said there that it's so important to offer respect to the devotees. He said that Rupa Goswami says that if someone is doing deity worship and an exalted Vaishnav comes, then we should stop that deity worship to receive that Vaishnav. That's part of our deity worship. And why do we do that? We may say, well, because I don't want to be cursed by the Vaishnav, or maybe but the reason we do that is because our purpose in doing the deity worship is to please Krishna. What pleases Krishna? Krishna is pleased by seeing his devotees served. So that's the highest form of worship. And therefore, it said, natad bhakteshu chanyeshu. Someone who doesn't respect the devotees, he's a kanishta adhikari, like Indra. He wants some respect. He's doing great service, but he's demanding respect from himself, and he doesn't appreciate the Brijbasis. And Krishna became unhappy with him. Krishna was thinking to himself that Indra, he's demanding worship from my family members, from the Brijbasis. They're millions and millions of times more exalted than Indra. How he's so proud. He's demanding worship from them. This is not good. I should stop this. So we should be very, very thoughtful in what we do. Worship doesn't just mean that we wave some incense in an external way, but it means trying to please Krishna. It's trying to please the heart of Krishna. And that's the mood of Giriraj. He tries to serve all the different devotees. Okay?
But when we do deity worship, what happens is we feel very peaceful. But when we are serving with devotees, it's very beautiful case.
We feel very peaceful when we do deity worship. When we serve the devotees, sometimes there's no peace. So you're saying it's like that sometimes. One great Vaishnavi once said that if you want to have a very peaceful life, then you're going to have to fall down to Vaikuntha. Because Braj is not like that. In Braj, Rupa Goswami in Ujjwal Nilamani, he says that some people, they think that there's no harsh words or anything in Braj. He said they don't understand rasa. Because there's different groups of gopis, there's different groups of devotees, and sometimes they speak in a very harsh way. And it may be a very, very passionate kind of thing, seemingly passionate. They have passion, but their passion is to please Krishna. That's their passion. Whereas deity worship is just kind of quiet and simple and peaceful. We can understand that. But it's more dear to Krishna, it's more dear to Srila Prabhupada. If we can please the devotees, if we can take care of the devotees. It's nice if we take care of the deities. That's also very important. But when we're taking care of the deities, we should be thinking that I'm worshiping the deity, I'm dressing the deity because it's going to inspire the devotees. It's going to make the devotees happy. Everything is about the devotees. And more important even than worshiping the deity, than taking care of the deities in our temple, is to take care of the devotees. Srila Prabhupada considered that much more important. Maintain the devotees. Okay? Anything else is there? Okay. So if anybody wants some magazine, I think Krishna Kun's going. Is Krishna Kun here? She's in the back. She's got her hand in the air. She has some copies. You can go and see her. Okay, she has just by the door. Just back there. Or here.